Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Dominant Desires, the podcast, a podcast where you can get BDSM information, advice, and more. My name is Rajan Dominari, and on today's episode, I'll be answering a question I received about switch types and submissives, and talk a bit about the misconceptions of both. I'm rather excited to talk about the subject, so let's get started. Well, everyone, this is the first podcast of 2019, and yes, I know that I'm more than a bit late. In my defense, however, I was sick the first 2 weeks of January, and I started a new day job, so you're just gonna have to forgive me. Sorry about that. Now on to the matter at hand. I received a message from a listener regarding switches and alpha submissives, and I really felt that I needed to answer this one, because I didn't want to sit on it, too long or anything like that. In any case, the message reads, "In your last podcast, it kind of seemed to me as though switches cannot be D-types. Personally, I am a switch and lead heavily as a D-type in all aspects of my life. But there are times that I don't want to be a top toward a woman. Alongside of this, I am an alpha in my role as a sub. I stand up for my shit and have fun with it. You were correct and accurate about this. All this is meant to be fun. But I will not modify my attitude about myself to suit anyone. So now I ask your opinion here. Have you ever considered anyone to be an alpha submissive? Kind of one ring to rule them all? LOL, JK, feedback please." LOL. All right. Anyways, so any of you that know me and my stance on switches may already know my response to this. And before I continue, I'm pretty sure that everything I say will be met with varying levels of controversy, all of which I welcome, as a matter of fact. Because I mean, if I didn't piss someone off somewhere, I'm clearly not doing my job. But there seems to be a lot of words going on in this message with switches, tops, alphas, dominants, and submissives. I'm just going to individually address the two that stand out the most, which are being a switch and being an alpha submissive. So in any case, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into it, yeah? Now, regarding the switch comment, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Switches are not a thing. They're just not. And now that I have likely pissed off some of you, I'm going to explain myself a bit. So, when I say that switches aren't a thing, I mean that they are not a dynamic of any sort. Switches are nothing more than tops and bottoms, which in and of themselves aren't really a dynamic. Those are bedroom or play partner roles. Period. I mean, no true to nature dominant or submissive switches their nature throughout their day. And yeah, even though a dominant may have to answer to higher ups at their job, even if that person has no fucking clue as to how to run their own fucking company, which in turn causes them all types of stress, which in turn causes them to go grey and drink slightly more than they normally do, that does not make them a submissive. And even though a submissive may have to manage aspects of their, daily lives, like work, kids, bills, and so on, that doesn't make them a bloody dominant. It just doesn't, or a dominant type at all. They have to do these things because they're a bloody adult. That's all. Doing these things simply means that they're in control of these aspects of their lives and haven't given up said control of these things to their dominant, if they ever do. It's not like the dominant in this case is going to, let their submissive come into their office and boss them around. Nor would the submissive allow their dominant to come into their workplace and have them bend over a table, spank them, whilst being turned on because of their apparent exhibitionism, exhibitionistic tendencies. Yeah, that's the word. Whilst watching the mouths of onlookers completely agape. It's just not going to happen. I mean, this is called workplace respect, which is a real thing. Look it up. Unless I just made it up, in which case you'll never find it. With all this said, in any case, there are things in those DS relationships, there are some things that, those relationships can do that wouldn't necessarily be disruptive of this respect. But as to what those things may or may not be, that's a bit beyond the scope of this episode. But ultimately, dominance can't be submissive, and the absolute reverse is true for submissives. Okay, it's just not a thing. So, I understand where a lot of people with the whole switch thing. Then that's one of those things that gets really confusing with people, especially new people who find themselves on websites like FetLife, where they have like 50,000 things for you to choose from, as far as what your denomination, or what you want to call yourself, or where you lie, anything like that. One of the things I do want to say really fast before I continue is you have to understand, those of you that are new out there, that FetLife is a website. They're trying to make money from this website. They have to appease their advertisers, line their pockets, buy a fucking yacht. I don't know, but the only way for them to do that and to get more people to look at the website is to just open the bloody floodgates and have everyone be an everything, which is completely fucking stupid. And if you disagree with this, that's completely fine. Far be it from me to stop you from doing that. Whatever, fucking I don't do whatever you want to do. But I have an opinion and I'm going to voice it. In any case, just moving on. So, I'm going to talk a bit now about the I am an alpha in my role as a sub part of that same message. There seems to be loads of people that don't understand what the term alpha submissive actually means, and some of them actually have some rather mad ideas about it. Okay, maybe not mad, but just definitely underinformed. So I'm going to try to set you lot right a bit. So I guess we have to start off and let's answer the question: what exactly is an alpha submissive? So you'll typically find alpha submissives, in BDSM houses or leather families. The alpha submissive is the head submissive, or the submissive with the most seniority and experience of the lot. In a polyamorous relationship, an alpha submissive is the term for the most powerful, for lack of a better word, submissive, with the term only used in a polyamorous relationship where more than one submissive is involved. Now, in both of these cases, the alpha submissives assist in the running of the household, and they instruct the other submissives that they're in charge of, and they don't necessarily make decisions. All they really do is carry out the orders of their dominants. In the case of a polyamorous relationship, the alpha submissive may also have control over certain aspects of the other submissives within the relationship, and this control is typically only displayed in whatever manner their dominant has agreed with. Like if their dominant isn't present, or they can't immediately be reached at any given time. Now, this agreement should involve all parties in the relationship. However, it sadly does not with a lot of people. Typically within polyamorous, why the fuck can I not say that word today? Polyamorous relationships between a predatory, dominant, and submissive couple and new or uninformed submissives. And now, in case you were wondering, when I have more than one submissive, my relationship with them is typically, non-hierarchical, and all the submissives retain equal power, mainly because I don't have time for that shit. There's way too much thinking involved, even for me, and I have a lot of things to think of in my day, plus that of the submissives that I happen to have, the submissives that I have. Yeah, it's just a lot mentally, and I just can't do that, to be completely honest about it. Now, with this said, there are some people out there, typically those new to this lifestyle, that seem to claim the title of alpha submissive, and they don't claim the title to mean that they're the first submissive or the submissive with the most responsibility in a group or anything like that. It's really just to hide an insecurity, I think. Maybe because of, feminist ideas or, toxic masculinity that unfortunately has permeated our society almost as a whole, to be completely fair. I don't know. So most experienced people, I'll go ahead and say this. So most people experienced in this lifestyle, those of us that have been at it a long time, most of those people would agree with me, I should hope, in saying that new people that declare themselves an alpha submissive, that's a bit of a red flag, because in some cases, actually in most cases, it just says that the person isn't really comfortable with their submission or their role as a submissive, or possible role as a submissive, I guess, and just likely not ready to be in a DS relationship. And, I'm going to say this. Being a submissive, and before I continue, this is directed toward those of you that claim this title of an alpha submissive, but just to continue. Being a submissive means that you have chosen to follow a dominant in whatever capacity you two, or more than you two, I don't know your deal. Anyway, in whatever capacity that you two have decided. Now, this could be an agreement to a short-term power exchange, a 24/7 total power exchange, or anything in bloody between. So I'm gonna sort of end by saying this. Whether you're male, female, trans, or non-binary, being a submissive doesn't mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean that you are timid, introverted, or anything like that. It really doesn't. As a matter of fact, most of the submissives that I know, they are strong, confident people that know exactly who and what they are and are sure as hell sure of themselves. And in most cases, they have jobs they have jobs that have loads of responsibility. Some of them are supervisors, they're team leaders, and in some cases, they actually run the fucking company. And I don't know, you don't have to believe these things. You don't have to believe these things because, the world around you makes you feel out of sorts because, somewhere in you, it's like, okay, you are submissive. This is what you are. This is who you are. This is what you are. Don't let people and their stupid ideals, try to take that away from you. Just don't. I don't know. I don't really have much more to say beyond that. Like I said earlier, even though a submissive may have to manage aspects of their daily lives with, work, kids, bills, blah, 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 they have to do these things because they're an adult. And that's just it. You're controlling your life because you just have to. But that doesn't make you a dominant. So yeah, that's pretty much it out of me. So there you have it. I hope this episode answered a few questions you may have had about switches or alpha submissives. I would definitely like to hear your thoughts on the matter, or what you thought about this episode in general. Whether you loved or hated the episode, you can let me know on social media. You can find my Twitter and Instagram accounts at Rajan Dominari, and I'm also on the wider internet on my website at dominantdesires.com. With all this said, I'm glad to have you as a listener, and I hope that you have a great week. I'll be back next week with more Dominant Desires, the podcast. I've been Rajan Dominari, and I'll talk to you all next time. Cheers.